Assalamu alaikum. On behalf of Mums Committee, welcome to our annual meet and greet. Mums Committee is basically a group of fun, energetic, food-loving ladies selflessly dedicated to giving back to our children and our school. And every now and then, we believe you, a mother, deserves to be acknowledged too. As much as we put in, our success and our achievements are a blessing from Allah. And so, to start off our lovely event, we have beautiful Amina, a young grade 4.2 HIF student, to recite our opening dua.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر يسجدان والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان ألا تطغوا في الميزان وأقيموا الوزن بالقسط ولا تخسروا الميزان والأرض وضعها للأنام فيها فاكهة والنخل ذات الأكمام والحب ذو العصف والريحان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان صدق الله العظيم.
MashaAllah and shukran, Amina. You have a very beautiful and angelic voice, and may Allah always be pleased with you. Aside from a very successful fun day, which first started in 2012 when Mums Committee was officially created, many of you are not really sure of what this wonderful group of ladies get up to for the rest of the year. Some of Mums Committee's past projects include Hooked on Books, the end of the year fun rides, water well projects, toy collections for the Inchanga Orphanage, a book collection for the Springfield Primary School, assisting Muslim old age homes, a ladies' styling program, a publication of 2 books which successfully sold over 9,000 copies, and a lunch hosted in honor of the mom's contribution to the school at the 60th anniversary celebration. Currently, our Fun Day, a joint initiative with the primary school, is alhamdulillah a phenomenal success. This provides us with funds of which we donate a fixed portion annually to the school's Waqf fund. We provide Ashura treats for the entire school, as well as ice cream day and almond packs at the end of each year. We sponsor Qurans to learners entering the Big Quran, and we donate to disadvantaged madrasas. We host the annual pre-Ramadan program for ladies, and we have a Mums Committee Zakat collection for the families of Orient Islamic School. We assist the Matric Committee with their fundraising, which allows for a memorable year-end send-off. We assist the Parents Committee at the Fun Walk Tea Garden and sports at the Swimming Gala Tuck Shops, which is next Monday at Tilts Crescent and Sutton Park if anyone would love to join us. To wrap up the year, we host a mom's picnic in the garden to acknowledge you for the year you've been through with your child. As much as we plan or try to plan a smooth sailing year, month, or even just the week ahead, there's always challenges we are faced with. And all the chaos and the craziness the world is offering us right now, one of our greatest concerns are raising our children. I sometimes wonder, and I'm certain you do too, how did life change so drastically and so quickly? I mean, when I was their age, I wouldn't dare answer back so boldly, let alone answer back at all. And I mean, like, you're just 8 years old. How do you even know that? And can you just put away your phone already? Have I enabled this? How do I find the balance between the cool mom my child is proud of and the disciplined mom whose rules are respected? Today, we have Idris Kamisa to help us unscramble code Generation Z. Idris is a well-renowned educationist, trainer, and motivational speaker who has tremendous faith in man's capacity to make a change. He conducts unique training and motivational programs on pre-marriage, marriage, public speaking, business and growth, just to name a few, and our topic of choice for today, children. Welcome back to Orient Islamic School, Mr. Idris Kamisa.
Can you put this back? Yeah. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, the Lord of all the worlds, to whom we belong, to whom is our return, and may His choicest blessings go to the highest of Allah's creation, our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the most generous in companionship, the most gentle in speech, indeed the most eloquent ambassador to humanity at large. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And good afternoon. When I was thinking about this topic and looking at the definitions of Generation Y, Alpha, and all of those things, I realized that all those terms are irrelevant. Because what you are really doing, you are characterizing all children to be in a particular fashion or mode or personality because they're born in a particular period. And that's not true, you see. What is true is the impact you as a parent has on the child. To make the assumption that all parents will go through this, yes, all parents would deal with a similar external environment, the environment outside the home, the digital world, the landscape has changed. But the world in your home, that's under your control. And I want none of y'all to adopt what I call a victim mentality. A victim mentality. And then to say, you know what can we do? These are today's kids. So the few questions I'm going to ask, I don't want a response from you, but I want you to think about what I'm asking you. Do you love your children? How do you express your love for your children? If I were to ask your children, does mommy love you? What are they going to say? Do you demonstrate your love? Do you hug your children so closely that through a process of osmosis almost they could feel your love? They could feel your love. Do you hug your spouse in front of your children? Are you promoting the institution of marriage? Are you the externalized conscience of the child? That even if your child, as is growing up, does something wrong, maybe an aberration, not part of his character. But when he comes home or she comes home, when they look at you, they say, my gosh, they're reminded that we are people of faith, that what I did was wrong. I feel guilty looking at my mother now. The question is this: does your home have a routine? Not through default. We eat together. But I'm talking about a meaningful routine, a weekly routine, a monthly routine, a routine in which even your marriage is consolidated, a routine in which that each child is validated, affirmed, acknowledged, a routine in which you make sure that the purpose of life is manifested in that routine. A question I asked earlier on: are you a housekeeper or a homemaker? Do you see the difference between being a person that disciplines as opposed to a person that is punitive? Discipline comes from love. From love. When you love your child, you're going to say no sometimes. When you love your child, you're going to make sure there are boundaries. When you love your child, you'll make sure there are consequences and accountability. You never say, no, the child is growing up, let us ignore it, because then you're going to incubate a monster. Also, when they grow up in your home, what are the qualities you are imbibing? What are the qualities you are imbibing in them? When they see mommy and daddy having a difference, they say, they understand, in marriage you can disagree without being disagreeable. I can get angry sometimes, but what I articulate in my anger is more important. I mustn't say things that I'm going to be very disturbed by. And as an individual at home, am I an inspiration for my child? It is not so much who you want your children to be, but do they want to be you? Do they want to be you? These are important things. Let us briefly look at the world we are living in. We're living in a world that if you are not strong enough in your faith, and I often say this, I've said this to you before, you cannot insulate or isolate your child, but you can inoculate them. You can empower them. So this is the question, you see. The question is, number one, do you know what's happening around you? Do you know what's happening around you? Who are the children that influence your kids? Lots of things I'm asking you. How healthy is a self-esteem of your child? If your child's self-esteem is low, your child would succumb to negative peer pressure. One of the most important attributes you can develop in your children is emotional intelligence, EQ. We'll talk about EQ in a moment. But mostly, very importantly, we spoke a bit without discussing in detail routine. Do you as a family have values that you can put on the wall? These are the values. Sorry. I don't like to stand there like a portrait, you know. I like to give a moving talk, like, you know what I mean? So, you know what I'm saying to you? The question is this: what are your values as a family? It's organic. Your values could be In this home, we speak respectfully to each other. In this home, we listen with empathy. In this home, if someone is angry, the others are quiet, depending. What are the values? In this home, when you get visitors, all of us are responsive to the visitors. And in this home, we put our phone off. Safwan, I'm at a workshop, I'll phone you back, right? Okay, my brother. So good to hear from you. Right? Because what are your values? And what are your goals? So if I were to ask you, what is your role? Right? What is your role as a mother? What is your role? What is your role? Come on. In one or two sentences, what is your role? What is your role? Yes, anyone try? To nurture, yeah? What else? Hey? To guide them? If your children look at you and they say, Inshallah, it is through my mother I learned about my responsibility. It is through her I learned about generosity, about compassion, about caring, about forgiveness. Then you have won, right? In the end, nothing matters, right? Your life can change overnight. You saw what happened in Turkey, right? Overnight. 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 So a few things we need to do, okay? Now, when you look at this whole aspect of discipline, it's very, very important that you need to be consistent, right? But before we talk about that, right, I want to ask you, how can you develop the self-esteem of your children? Because when you develop the self-esteem of your children, they become self-disciplined. They do not require an external monitor. Okay? What is self-esteem? Self-esteem is recognizing that you are a unique creation of God. You know, people tell me, and I don't blame them, they tell me, Idris, you don't know how happy we are to see you. I say every morning when I look at the mirror, I say the same thing. Yes, I do. And we've got mirrors right around the lounge. I say, I like it. Yes? Yeah! That's me. You know what I mean? I'm happy to see me. I'm happy. Are you happy to see yourself? I'm happy to see me. You know what I mean? I like it. Before you love others, there has to be self-love, not selfish love. Now, firstly, the question to ask, how can you develop the self-esteem of your children when you yourself have got low self-esteem? That's the thing. It takes an attitudinal change. Now this is very important that you understand this, please. Self-esteem has got nothing to do with how handsome you are. You know I'm handsome, I'm not talking about that. How handsome you are. What car you drive. Where you stay. How wealthy you are. Got nothing to do with all of that. And remember this. Let's look at the things that erode the self-esteem of children. When you are a naysayer, when you do not encourage and praise them, when you are punitive, when you belittle them, when you do not hug them, when you do not express your love for them, their self-esteem also gets eroded when they are living in an unhappy home. Many of them cry themselves to sleep and they say, why was I born in this home? Why was I born in this home? These are important things. Now, how do you develop the self-esteem? to spend time with them. And I often say it, all children require the 6 A's. I mentioned this before, right? Affirmation, acknowledgement, affection, attention, appreciation, and positive attributes. They all require that. And remember this, every child is different. So you do not treat them with equality but with equity. Respond to their needs. Make time for them. When a child cries out to you, do not belittle the child and say, you're a crybaby. The child is in pain. Be compassionate and caring. Now you may say, how important is this self-esteem? I'll tell you how important it is. People with high self-esteem does not mean you're perfect. It means you believe in yourself, that you take ownership of your life. You're a decision maker. You got generosity of heart. You are humble. You feel good for other people's successes. You do not succumb to negative peer pressure. You learn to say no. But if you've got low self-esteem, then you can't say no. You become a bully. You become a victim mentality. You are indecisive. Look at the difference. Also, remember this, right? Your kids should not grow up with instant gratification. Then you're going to have discipline problem. Sometimes you could say no, no matter how much they cry. But as long as other times you are saying yes. And explain to them why you're doing what you are doing. You understand? Right? Right. The next thing I want to talk about is the following, right? Now, what if your own self-esteem is low? What do? Ask yourself how come it is low. Because you must understand something. When children grow up, when they grow up being told all the time, you stupid you, you're silly, I don't know why you were born. That negative talk would lead to a child's negative self-talk. I mean, it's very important. Now, how do you enhance your self-esteem? Ask yourself, how was I brought up? Did I grow up with naysayers? Did I grow up at home where love was expressed? Did I grow up in a home that we celebrated each other? Did I grow up in a home where we all walked on eggshells? You know what I mean? So you got to ask yourself these questions. And you could turn it around, inshallah. And there's a technique to do that, right? So I want to just stop a moment and speak a bit about emotional intelligence, right? Because that is very important in terms of discipline. As human beings, we are either sad, mad, glad, or we're in fear. And the other subsidiary emotions. Whether you like it or not, you're going through that emotion now, one of those emotions, one of those few hundred emotions, right? Now you find, why is it important? No one is born with a high EQ. It is learned behavior. Learned behavior. If you grew up in a home where your mom and dad disagreed without being disagreeable, you learn to be respectful. When you grew up in a home where your mother was able to express her feelings and saying, you know, darling, I'm going through this, you'll also learn to express your feelings. If you grew up in a home and you saw that sometimes mommy and daddy went through some issues, but the issues did not detract from the marriage itself. They were still happily married, but they were able to discuss it. If you grew up in a home where there was no emotional meltdown, like saying, I don't know why I married you. You grew up in a home where the person was able to pick up the pieces. And that's very, very important, you see. It's like this. I'll give you a simple example. Right. Say, I promised my wife that 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago was my birthday, right? My 50th birthday. You're looking shocked. Okay, 40th birthday. Right. Okay, was my 50th birthday. And I promised I'm going to take her out. You know what I mean? She's excited. You know what I mean? A man is going to take her out and all that on his 50th birthday, right? Anyway, I bought my suit. You know what I mean? All that. And okay. So, but as I'm coming home, I went through this traumatic experience of witnessing one of the most horrific accidents. And sadly, one of the fatalities was someone dear to me. Right? Now, so it will affect my demeanor, will it not? So when I come home, as I enter the door, if my wife did not notice a change in my demeanor, then she's got a low EQ. If she said to me, darling, what happened? She got a high EQ. And then I explained to her what happened. Is us going out become important anymore? No. You know what I'm saying to you? Now I want you to understand this, you see. It's like this. As human beings, right, we have what you call body language, right? Body language. Don't worry, I'm not looking at you. Right? Don't worry, don't change your body language. Right? So body language, right? So when I speak to my wife, my shushu babulina, my doll, Hazard, I like it. I hope your husband talked to you all like that. They do? Hey, how's my baby? Tell you all that? My baby. So anyway, you look like marriage is a punishment. Like you're in prison. Marriage is a happy thing, man. Nothing is more beautiful than a happy marriage. Really. It's beautiful. Right? So I'm speaking to my wife. I'm speaking to her. Then I see, yeah. Now, if you got a high EQ, do you know I listen to every word I speak? Do you know that? To hear something impulsive from me is a rare thing. I listen to every word. So as I'm speaking to her, I notice her body language is changing. I realize my words are not sitting well with her, even with your kids. Right? So what do? I'll be an idiot to continue in that trajectory because I'm creating a conflict. So what happens through EQ, you learn about self-control. You learn about monitoring. You also become socially aware. You'll know when to speak and when to be quiet. You understand? If you got a high EQ, you never humiliate another person. You never do that, sorry. When you got a high EQ, you're able to deal with people. It's the dynamics of relationships. In fact, studies have shown that when couples have high EQ, it's unlikely they would divorce. That's it, it's there. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had the highest EQ in the world. It's also prophetic, right? So what I want you to understand is this. You need to develop that, right? Now, but the critical thing is this. You got to win the confidence of your children. How do you win the confidence of your children? Okay, I'm asking you. How do you win the confidence of your children? Tell me.
Listen to them.
Eh? Yeah, listen to them, yeah? Listen without preparing an answer. You know what I mean? We listen to respond. You may just listen. And listen with empathy. When your child comes to you, mommy, 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 how would you respond? Don't trouble me, man. Yeah, but you see, no, I understand. If it happens sometimes, it's okay. Because let me tell you this. If you are not prepared to listen to your kids, the other people with nefarious intentions are prepared to listen to them. They are the ones who seduce the hearts and minds of your children. Do you know what often happens, eh? Parents who ignore the kids, when these kids become prostitutes, drug addicts, then you got all the time in the world. It's too late. It's too late. Right? So what do? So therefore, I say to everyone, on a daily basis, make some time for each child. You've got to create an atmosphere around the dining room table where all of you speak, without reprimanding them. Never scold kids around the dining room table. Never scold the kids there. Make it a time of celebration. Talk. Revealing is healing, is cathartic. You understand what I'm saying to you? Right? Win the hearts over of each child. Let them know that you're going to make mistakes. Allah is Ghafur Rahim. Talk to them. Connect with them. That's very, very important, right? How else can you build up confidence in your children? How else? Hello. Hey? Praise them. Encouragement is better than praise, by the way, right? Right. Just quote me on that. You can say I said that. Right? How many of you hug your children? I mean, nice hug, not like they got leprosy. Right? Right. Okay. Right. Okay, they're small, right? You can hug them. Right? Now, how many of you, when your husbands come home, you'll hug him? You're liars, you're like. After you. You see, this is what I want you to do, right? There are some things you need to change. To each one of them, say to them, Mommy loves you. Mommy loves you. Give, right? Number one. Secondly, say to them, I'm making a lot of dua for you, my son. Inshallah, you can be a leader someday. Plant that. Thirdly, promote the habit of reading. Reading produces its self-discipline, it's self-discipline. What else you can do with your child? The kind of questions you ask them. Do not ask open-ended questions or like, how was your day? That's okay. But make some questions a little more specific. Like one of my friends used to ask his kids, what good act you did today? What did you do that Allah is pleased with? What else you need to do? You may say, how relevant is all of this? When you sort all of these things out, you don't have discipline issues, my friends. Because kids, you have discipline issues for 6 reasons. You know what the reasons are? Number one, where a child feels a sense of inadequacy, when a child has low self-esteem, when a child is crying out for help, when a child does it out of excitement, when a child does something out of revenge, when a child does something out of defiance. So you got to understand why the child did whatever the child has done. You understand what I'm saying to you? Right? You understand what I'm saying? So these are important things, right? Very, very importantly also, you got to know, teach your kids to choose good friends. Because if they got a toxic friend, if the chap says, you know me, I care two roots about my father. That kind of talk, you know. Because you are the average of the 5 people closest to you. Invite your kids' friends home, get to know who they are. You understand what I'm saying to you, right? Right. Now the other issue that is plaguing, this is even more frightening. I'll stop in about 5 minutes, we'll get questions, right? Okay. I'll tell you this. I am dealing today with kids that have left Islam. I'm dealing today with kids that are either gay or lesbians. I'm dealing with kids today who are drug addicts and made their wives also drug addicts. I'm dealing today with people that got pornographic addiction. I'm dealing today indirectly in some cases with incest. You know what I'm saying to you? Right? Now, what is the most effective antidote to all of this? The child must grow up in a home where they see what the mother's role is and what the father's role is. There's no conflation there. Where you promote the institution of marriage. And remember that no one is born to be attracted or to have the same sex relationship. Yes, there's nothing wrong. You feel attraction for someone. Long as you do not enact it, it's okay. Did I tell you about this one girl who became a Muslim? I told you this. There's one girl in the United States of America where this man went to give a talk. They call it Islam 101, where she embraced Islam, but as he was talking, she was with another girl, they were cuddling and all that, you know. So he said, hey, are they lesbians? Are they not? Are they lesbian? Are they not? Right? So what happened? The girl, her name is Kelly. She became a Muslim. Look at what she said. Giving up pork was easy. Putting a hijab was easy. Reading 5 times a day salah was easy. But weaning myself from the same-sex attraction was very difficult. But when Allah says that He'll not give you a burden more than you could bear, that was enough for me to change. If Allah says it, that means I can do without it. Look at it. You know what I'm saying to you? So what I'm saying to you, in everything, create in them a consciousness of Allah, a love for Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. You understand that? You got to do that. Okay. The last 2 points I want to mention is this, right? It's very, very important for you and your husband to sit together regarding the children. It could be a shared responsibility, right? And the last point I want to make, there are many points. I mean, I have a 2-day workshop on parenting, by the way, so I'm just giving you a little, taste, right? So the last point I want to make to all of you is this. Be conscious parents and do parenting with intentionality. And say to yourself, let me take small steps. Let me see what I'm going to do. Are you meeting your kids now, isn't it? Right? And say, I want to make a change right now. And ask yourself, when you see your child, how do you respond to the child? What do you do? Is it mechanical? Is it from your heart? You know what I mean? Start doing that consciously, please. Otherwise, they will destroy you, right? So I want to take questions from you all, please, right?
So you mentioned about a man playing his role and a wife playing her. What if you're doing it on your own as a single mom?
Yeah. As a single mom, you're doing it, right? Uh, it can be done, but it is pressured. Hopefully, kids must also grow up with a male model. That could be your brothers or whoever who play their part. It's very, very important for them to grow up that way. And kids are resilient. You know, if you are a single parent bringing the kid up, it's very, very important what you communicate to them. Say, don't worry, I'm here for you, ma. You'll be okay. You know what I mean? Make that a positive experience. Don't make it an experience in which I can understand where there are moments of frustration. There are times you're going to break down. It is natural. You understand? And I think as the child grows up, they will be able to understand your position. But I prepared an article about that. If I find it, I'll send it to you, right? Okay, anyone else? Yes.
So what about when you do face the moments of frustration to actually tell the child, this is about me, it's not you. Yes, I took out my frustration on you unfairly. Because what happens with my children is they do something wrong and they should be disciplined, but you're going through so much that you're over there. So obviously telling them what you did was wrong and it's still wrong, but the way I reacted was obviously unnecessary. Because I feel it's important to also make them realize we're also human. We're also going to get frustrated, we're going to get angry. And Allah gave us these emotions. Yes, we should try to control it, but we can't always control it. Like, as you said, right, they'll grow up and realize, what about in the moment to just say, you know what, I had a crazy moment because I'm human and Allah has given me these emotions. I'm not perfect.
No, but see, that's the point, you see. And I'm going to correct you. If you have a high EQ, when I get angry, which is very seldom, if I were to tell my wife I'm angry, I don't scream, I'm angry. I tell, I tell her, darling, I'm angry. No, no, listen to me. Listen. I wasn't born, listen to me. But listen to me. Listen. You know what? There's a difference between being assertive and being aggressive, right? You can be, I'll give you an example. Let's look at Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, right? I'll give you a few examples. Okay, this is not the same level of intensity, but you'll understand. The Sahaba were surprised when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was burying his son, he was crying, right? He was crying. And they were surprised. So he said to them, the eyes weep, words to this effect, the heart grieves, but the tongue will not say anything that is displeasing to Allah. You understand what I'm saying to you? You could tell them that, but not in a way that alienates them. If you keep on going to say this over here, they say, Mommy always does this. If it becomes a pattern in your life, yes, they will learn that with every heartache there is ease. They will learn there are going to be challenges. But you got to be very, very guarded about your speech. There's nothing wrong in expressing anger. But what you say in the anger are words you cannot come back. You know what I mean?
So I don't mean like you insult them, but your voice is raised and it kind of makes them feel scared. Not insulting or just the tone, especially, you can say things in a tone without using bad words. And it's
Then why are you apologizing then?
no, it's not enough. So apologizing is I didn't react to the child based on what the child did. It's because of whatever I was going through. If the child know that it's not, they shouldn't feel like, oh, I made my mother react like that. My mother is taking the
No, okay, that's also a good lesson. But I think also you've got to make sure these incidents are few and far between, All right. Anyone else? Yes, Vaida.
How do you not go from 0 to 100 by also high strung?
Sorry?
I said we are also high strung. And if we do something, a lot of the times it doesn't need the action that we give. And you only realize afterwards because me and my husband said I go from 0 to 100 in 5 seconds. And how do you not do it? How do you not overboil? Keep the lid on.
No. You see, that's the point. It's about self-discipline. It's about self-control. You got to understand what your triggers are. You got to manage your triggers. I'll give you an example. Sorry. Yeah. Are you talking about the other lady's husband? Yeah. What about him? Yeah.
Joking, but you see, a lot of the time you're angry with your spouse, and then you're so angry that everything is a problem. But even if it's not to separate your
No, you have to be. That's why you got to be conscious as an individual. For example, I tell people when you're driving home, when you're about to enter your home, say, Ya Allah, I'm coming to my home. I want to come to a happy home. I want to leave whatever I experienced behind me. You got to do it consciously and with intentionality. And you know what? Even those things you say out of your control, when you lose your spouse and you realize, my gosh, I could have done it. Because we assume that they'll be here forever and ever and ever and ever. You got to do it. They also need to, for example, if they've got a high EQ, they also need to respect your boundaries. They need to understand what your triggers are. I mean, there are some things my wife and I disagree on. It's okay. No issue. It's such a boring marriage if you and your wife agree on everything. Right? There's something I said to her, darling, we discussed the matter. I really respect your viewpoint. But I have a differing viewpoint. Kalas, no need for further discussion. Right? No need for agitation. Do you know my rule of thumb is this? I can be speaking to anyone, right? If someone is rude, uses foul language, I tell a person, if you want to continue your conversation, speak properly, otherwise the conversation is over, no matter who it is. No matter who it is. Look at what's under your control. What your husband does, what your kids do is out of your control. But what's in your control, how you respond. That's important, man. And you know what? It's also about your values. It's also about what you want to achieve. What's your goal in life? If you say my goal in life is, I want my kids to attain Jannah. Can you imagine that goal? Hey, what a beautiful goal that is. I also want to go to Jannah. Then suddenly you'll find you'll realign your priorities. You understand what I'm saying to you? And then you've got to ask yourself, what are the trigger points, Yes, someone else? Yes. Mm. Mm.
For example, my husband can go to work, so we just have to be on his phone. Things like that. So it gets a bit complicated sometimes. It doesn't have to be 5 o'clock.
Yeah. No, you can still have a routine within that. The important thing in the routine you should have is eating time together, reading Salah together, reading Quran together, reading together, right? Maybe you say once a week we're going to visit some poor people, once a week we'll visit our in-laws or whatever. You make that part of the program. There's also what you call a me time, right? Now this phone, it's shocking. I was helping one youngster and he told me he spends 6 hours a day on the phone. And you're not shocked because you'll be spending 12 hours on the phone. 12. You know what I'm saying to you? Can you believe it? Therefore, because of that, we are socially incompetent. We can't deal with people. I always say, today people find their spouses on Facebook. When they get married, they can't face each other. No, really. This year, and this is pernicious, and your kids should not be allowed to take these phones into the room. No phones around the dining room table. No, really. You should know the passwords of your kids. Sorry? What? No. No. Until a few minutes before the nikah. Yeah, I know. No, it's difficult because we allowed a situation to prevail. I know of some homes, I promise you, in some homes, with love and everything else, they spend time, they've got creative ways of enjoying themselves, playing, doing those things. They don't have these issues. They don't, because they feel fulfilled. Today, our kids feel fulfilled through virtual friends. I mean, sometimes you walk in the beachfront, you see I saw these three guys there, fancy tackies, they're not running, you know what I mean? You can get dirty, you know what I mean? Running, you know what I mean? Fancy tackies and all, and three of them got the cell phones, not talking to each other, you know what I mean? So you ask them, how you spend the time? Oh, you went to the beach, how was the water? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's about your values. Any other questions? Yes? Yeah. I know. Yes, sorry. Yeah. Okay, I'll tell you something after. What you're saying is so right. They say a family that eats together, prays together, and plays together. Plays together. It's important. Your kids, must play together. My wife and I used to play Scrabble. And I should cheat. I turn the thing upside down. I say blank. I got a blank. Yeah. And Monopoly, I should steal from the bank. Oh, tomato. Yeah. And I should even play Ludo with the wife. And my mother-in-law, she's 96 years old. Play Ludo with her. You know what I mean? Right. Wait. Yeah. You know what? And therefore, the Islamic parenting is simple. First 7 years, bonding. What is it? Bonding. Not instruction and learning. Bonding. Connect. Play with them. 7 to 14, time of instruction, discipline, and learning. After 14, you become the child's confidant. Anyone else? Did you find this useful? Okay. Any other question? What time we have? Till what time? Okay, our autographs later, like autograph. Yeah. Okay, 5 minutes. Yeah, okay. Right. Yes. So, yeah. How do you?
How do you get your child to see that your children and relations might not be the same as their friends and they comparing? So how do you make them understand, what?
Yeah.
And this is better for you. And if they're the same age group friends and make something different to what they want to do, sometimes it's not just the friends, it can be family as well.
Yeah. So I think depending on the age, so yeah, you must sit down as a family and say that we want to have some rules and whatnot, asking them for suggestions. Yeah, that's good. And when they speak about the friends, do not be dismissive. Listen to what they've got to say. Maybe there are some aspects that you could also embrace here, right? And in the end, remember this. Your kids do not always understand you at that particular point. but they'll understand you little later on reflection. You understand? And remember this, it's not about being popular with your kids, eh? Not being cool. You know what I mean? My mother is cool, like, you know what I mean? How's it? You know what I mean? That kind of thing. You know, otherwise they'll be very superficial. But they'll understand. Long as you have a conversation with them, long as your kids talk to you. The other important point is this, that your kids must spend as much time in the living room rather than the bedroom. They only go to the bedroom to sleep unless they're doing the homework there. Because it is when they are alone that this creates other dynamics, you know. Okay? Anyone else? Yes. Oh, you hate that. Yes.
Is it okay to tell your child to fight back when they agree? So obviously, first you teach them to stand up for themselves. Like, hey, stop trying to get teachers involved, trying to get parents involved. Sometimes none of that works. But then to tell your child, you are entitled to defend yourself.
You see, by the way, I've got two manuals that I've done. There's a book that we wrote together on bullying. Is something that I gave the school one set to look at. It may be a good thing you can do together with your kids at home, right? Now, it's good to ask your kids to assert themselves without being aggressive. If your kid says, I slapped him because he slapped me, it's not a good thing. That means they have lost control. Because someday they might do something far more heinous, right, much later. So you got to find out the context of a situation, you know. Otherwise, they themselves might become bullies, you see. Right? Anyone else? Yes. In fact, the point I said in my preamble, the husband and wife must be on the same page without being too prescriptive. If you follow two divergent ways of bringing up children, then you are really incubating a monster. Why am I saying that? If you say, I know often mothers used to say this, wait for daddy to come. When daddy comes, you say, leave him when he's a growing child. So the father will not mind daddy coming, you know. Tell daddy, tell daddy. You understand? So it's important that you all need to sit down and discuss measures. Because remember this, complete permissiveness is just as bad as harsh punishment, the two extremes. You've got to be on the same page. Now, the one way of responding to it is to explain to the kids, you know, that daddy may not hit you or, may not reprimand you because, like me, I love you, daddy also loves you, right? Now, remember this. If you don't take advantage over what daddy is doing, you got to somehow or the other make an excuse for your husband, or vice versa. Yes.
Last one. Discipline. Where does the line? Are you allowed physically hit them if they misbehave? Or do you time out? Or do you naughty corner? What is the best without emotionally damaging them in terms of kind of structure their discipline from young age?
Okay, for me, what I found very effective is withdrawing a privilege. And how you do it? You do it dignity. I give people about 15 steps. Step one, say you get a call from the school that your daughter was mischievous. They want to see you tomorrow. You meet the daughter in the car, you give her a hug as you normally give her a hug, and tell her normally your routine is she'll go home, she'll have a bite, and she knows they've spoken to you, and tell her, they spoke to me, and we'll talk about it after your lunch. Right? Finish. Depending, right? Now, the question is, do you inform your husband about it then or when he comes home? Question. After that is done, husband comes home, he has a meal, it's something you discuss with him. After the meal, you tell her, the daughter, to go to a room, daddy and mommy are going to talk about what happened. Then both of you decide on what you're going to do. Then you call the child in, you ask the child what happened. What motivated you to do it? All those things, right? Then you say, okay, fine, what should daddy and mommy do? She might say, okay, it did not allow me to visit my friends for 2 Saturdays, for example. You may say, no, I think we need to extend it to 2 months because of the seriousness. Then ask the question, what should daddy and mommy do if you have to repeat this? If she comes at the beginning saying, listen, I felt remorseful, I turned to Allah, I've hurt your feelings, mommy, So I found it is dignified, you're withdrawing an important privilege, Okay. Okay. Yeah.
And what about us with smaller ones? I'm talking like 4-year-olds.
Yeah.
That just make you want to do it.
Yeah. No. The smaller ones, the naughty corner and those things help, Mm. Sometimes you've got to be in the naughty corner.
Shukran to you, Uncle Idris, for saving your time to be here at our event. I'm sure all that was discussed today will be of great assistance to us all. May Allah reward you for your efforts in helping man make a better change. We have a delicious spread for you ladies to enjoy soon. At Mums Committee, we love to eat. My Mums Committee journey started 4 years ago when, as a new, cautious mum, I attended the emailed invite to a Parents Committee elections, assuming everyone does. They don't. So I sat in a row by myself, even more confused of what this was about. In front of me was Suraya, who asked for my name and number, added me to the group, said I would like it, and welcome to Mums Committee Nazira. I was thrown straight into Fun Day, and to impress this newfound organization, I stayed the entire day selling samosas and puripata. The jokes, the laughter, the consideration, and the way these beautiful women helped each other out and went the extra mile to do more. The rewarding results from the enormous amounts of effort made me certain I wanted to be part of this sisterhood group. And so, the next Fun Day, I willingly stayed for all of the shifts. This genuine group of souls have become forever friends. To Munira, who should have been here today at our mums event, and to the mums who are no longer on our committee, we miss you dearly, and we look forward to you frying samosas at our Fun Day. Our work is appreciated and recognized by the school, parents, pupils, staff, and the school board. And so I invite you to join the sisterhood group Mums Committee, where we want your opinions, your ideas, and your initiative, and not your sponsorship. And there's always food. It's an easy committee to be a part of. Decisions are made on a majority voting system on our group with a thumbs up or down. Well, now we have an updated poll system thanks to Rihanna teaching us something new. We meet on Tuesdays at 1:30 p.m. in the library only when we have an event to plan, and yes, there's food. Your little ones are allowed to come with you. Working moms, you may also join. We just ask that you participate in our WhatsApp group discussions. If you are keen, please put down your name and number here, and we will add you to the group. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to Mums Committee for the wonderful spread. Now let's eat. Assalamu alaikum.